So it kind of was this big moment of really looking in the mirror, and I think I'm definitely, like, still the same person I was before, but now I kinda have this, like, extra layer of, like, you know, backbone and strength and bravery and resilience that, like, now I kind of bring into my art.
Bringin It Backwards.
Hello.
Hey, Carolyn, how are you?
Good. Long time no see.
I know it's been almost 2 years, I think, or
I
getting
think,
on
like,
there.
3 now.
Really? Oh my
Yeah, I
goodness.
was, like, in my USC prime when we last spoke.
Yeah, you had. I don't even think you had released Blue Eyes. It was like about to come out.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy.
I
Wow.
know. I'm excited to kind of see what's gone on since. I know you've released a handful of songs, so that's cool.
Yes, I have indeed.
Very, very cool. Well, it's so great to see you again. Thank you again for
Nice to
doing
see
this.
you. Yeah, I'm so excited. I mean, I've now been following the podcast since I've been on, and
Awesome.
so great to be able to, like, hear artist stories and, excited to share the updates on
Awesome.
mine.
Well, I appreciate that. That means a lot. Thank you so much.
Of course.
For actually checking it out. Yeah,
Yeah.
so, well, I mean, we've already got your story, like, up to a point before, but let's just, if you don't mind, just
Yes.
quickly recapping, from before, just so you're born and raised in LA,
Yes.
um, came up with, creative family in a way. I mean, your mom's a producer, and I know that that was a part of your life growing up, but you really didn't start showing people your music or any of that until it was like a few years prior to when we spoke, right? Maybe a couple of years, like right
Yeah,
before.
I think, like, right when COVID hit, I mean, it might have been, like, 2 months before the world locked down. I was with a producer friend of mine, and I just kind of jokingly was like, "Can I record a song?" And it's been something I've loved, but it was, like, something that everyone, like, turned their head and they're like, "What?
Right.
Caroline?" I'm like, "Yeah, Caroline. Hey."
Yeah, because you always had the blonde standard like brand, right? But it was under more
Yeah.
graphic design things. You were working with people in music or in with bands and stuff, right? Kind of on
I
that
think
side.
Yeah, I think that's why it was harder for me was, like, the boundary of, like, "Oh, I'm, like, thinking of managing artists, and I'm figuring out where I belong in the music industry," I've since kind of figured that out, but I was like, "Does this make sense for me to be able to, like, be an artist and also work with artists?" And that kind of
Mhm.
was, like, a big no-no to people, and um, yeah, I think I was kind of just becoming more and more inspired every time I got in a studio session with another artist, and I, like, had all these ideas and, like, all this stuff, and I think, like, it kind of came to a head when COVID hit, and people were very supportive of my artistic journey, and then we kinda just, like, did it, and
Yeah,
I
you
think
wrote like a whole EP, right? In like a short period of time.
yeah, yeah, I was just, like, once I finished a song, we went to the next one. I think in hindsight, I was really just, like, trying to get all of the creative juices that had been built up for so long out and try to figure out, like, how do you write a song, and what does it mean to produce a song from start to finish, and what are my influences as an artist, because I listened to everything, and I also had, like, this music blog at the same time where I was also interviewing artists and, like, trying to learn about their stories. So it was definitely this kind of period of time for me where I was really kind of, like, just learning.
Mhm.
And I think this past year, specifically, like, since, like, maybe literally this past year, like, September of, like, last year, I really started honing into my own sound, to a point where, like, every time we finish the song, we're like, "Oh, yeah, 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 that was better than the last one." Like, we're
Okay.
going somewhere with this.
Yeah, yeah, you feel like it's moving forward, not like, oh, we had this great song and I can't capture that again. Like, what's going on?
Right, right. We're like, "Okay, this all makes sense together. Everything is, like, in the same world. Everything is the same kind of." Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. I
So
love that. Well, I love what you're doing. I mean, like I said before, you only had the one song, and I don't think it was even like out to like the public at the point when we
That's
talked.
so crazy. I
Yeah,
think,
and
like yeah, it's very interesting just kind of, like, reflecting on that time and also just the sound itself, like, I was working around a lot of, like, more, like, electronic producers and was around kind of that energy, and so you can hear in that song, it has this kind of, like, bubblegum pop influence
mhm.
to it, whereas now I think it's much more kind of, like, alternative rock, modern rock
Right.
focused.
Yeah, I was gonna say it changed, quite a bit, at least, over
Yeah.
the past couple of
But
years.
coincidentally, I mean, I was, like, in these studio sessions being like, "Let's make a rock song," except, like, when you don't have that chip, it's like I'm like, "Okay, I don't know what you're talking about, but, like, we can try our best to make a rock song."
Right.
So now we've, like, kind of encapsulated that, and I've found people that I work so well with. Um,
Are
and
you working with different people than that producer that you had initially started working with? Or are you
yeah,
still with that person?
I we're still great friends. I think, it's actually interesting because a lot of the producers that I work with are artists and don't really produce for other artists, or at
That's
least
what I
I
think you were
kind of
saying that in the beginning. Yeah, he was, like, just an artist and was like, "Oh, sure, I guess I'll" he
it was
never
kind
worked
of
with
a
anyone,
favor.
right? Yeah, it was like a favor.
Yeah. But now I have people that are like, they're in it just as much as I am. And I think that's kind of my goal is like, I'm the one singing, but like, this is all our song. I want everyone to feel like we're making something and we're putting something out and like hopefully resonating with someone. And a lot of it comes from like lyrics for me at least.
Mhm.
Which I've noticed a lot of people don't really listen to lyrics.
Yeah, which is wild because that's, like, really I mean, hooks and the, catchy pieces of it are, like,
Yeah.
obviously, like, "Oh, what is that?" Kind of intriguing, but
Right.
my favorite songs are the ones where you can relate deeply to what the person's saying, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, the lyrics are like for me, I'm like, "That's everything. That's why
Mhm.
the song has this, like, power to it," and I'm like, "Oh, you just know the rhythm or the melody, but you don't know what I'm saying." So, I mean, I just leave it to the audience. I think the goal is, like, a lot of my music has these, like, kind of 2 halves to it. One is
Mhm.
this kind of, like, outward message, which is like, "Oh, this sounds like a love song," and that actually hasn't changed since the beginning of, the first 2 singles I released, and it has this kind of, like, outward sweet, song, and you hear the love song or you hear the whatever side to it, and then there's
Mhm.
this kind of, like, deeper, like, theme, or message
Right.
that I'm trying to get across. But I also kind of understand music and what's marketable and what people can resonate with more. And so, yeah, I kind of like to have the two kind of the deeper meaning and then the kind of like surface level, like this is kind of what it feels like or sounds like, but it's not that at all, which is
Right, right, right. Yeah,
what
I
all
like
of my
that.
art has always been.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yeah, because you used to do I know the graphic stuff a lot, right? That's really where it kinda started.
yeah,
And even in the beginning when I was asking you about Blue Eyes, you said that you had somebody else do the cover art because I was curious to if you were
yes,
gonna do it, and you said, "No, I kinda wanna get someone else's perspective of what they
yeah.
how they feel about the song or what they create off of what I've created instead of
It's
just doing everything."
Yeah, and honestly, like, that hasn't changed. I mean, I did the cover art for, Freaking Out and Ruin My Day, and I had, friends of mine do, like, the text. But I'm, like, a very collaborative person, and I also just think, like, as an artist, I have such a hard time, like, even when I moved into my house, like, I was like, "Okay, I can't put art on the wall because it's just too much pressure, and I think it'll come to me in time." Like, it wasn't this, like, instantaneous thing for me, and I think with the cover art, it's like it's the same thing. I'm like, I just put way too much pressure on it, and so, for me, it's so much easier to just kind of, like, either it is kind of an in the moment thing for me and I'm like, "Oh, that like, I really feel good about that, let's just go with it," or it'll just kind of, like, spin out of control and take way too long. So I've just decided to work with other artists. I also just love it, and yeah, I think it kind of just proves the point that, like, I've kind of fizzled out of being a visual artist, and now I'm kind of, like, speaking through music, and I think it's kinda just a testament to being an artist, as well. Just the kind of aspect of like, yeah, you can go from being a graphic artist or a painter or a poet, and now you can be a musician, and then you can be a filmmaker, and you can have the same kind of themes and messages throughout your art, but it can kind of take different, you know,
Yeah,
var-
no, 100 yeah, 100%. I was gonna
yeah,
say, like, I mean, I guess, like, Halsey would be a good example, like, she's a painter, but also an incredible artist, right? I mean,
right,
in the way
yeah,
where she does paintings but it's not something that solely she'll go out and make a bunch of paintings and do an exhibit and sell it or, whatever. It's more like just something else, but, like, you are awesome at doing the graphic things, but you wanna focus and songwriting, so you're like, "Well, I'm gonna do the songwriting."
yeah. I think it's just transformed. Like it's weird because that inspiration used to be so strong. Like, oh my gosh, I just watched this like insane film, or I just read this crazy book, or I heard this story, and like I want to make something out of it. And
Mhm,
now that's kind of for me music. And so it's like the same itch, but just in a different form. And I think that like, yeah, it's really kind of interesting how like just as like an artist of like very different mediums, I kind of can like feel that like come out in different ways.
mhm, and you kinda studied that, right, at USC? Wasn't your major something with,
Yeah.
like,
Well, that's
storylines
what's
of
so
different
ironic.
mediums, right? Wasn't it something
Yeah, it's
along those
super
lines?
ironic that like I ended up well, I was actually supposed to go for like international affairs, but that clearly didn't.
Oh.
Um
Is that like politics?
That was just because I like spent my whole high school experience doing like all these politically charged
Yeah,
internships, and like I think when you,
interesting.
especially in LA, like the whole like thing is they train you to like you apply in based off of the human being that you've become. And so that's where I ended up. But I was like, okay, this major's cool. It's there's no one kind of like slapping you on the wrist about what's right and wrong. And I think for me, like I have always just created art for, in
Mhm,
what, like, feels right to me in the moment. Like, I've never been one to be like, "Let's make this because everyone's gonna like that." I'm like, "Let's make this because it feels right for me, and if it resonates with people, like, that's the goal." But, I'm kind of less of like, "Let's go viral," and I'm more like, "Let's, like, tap into someone's feelings, and let's, like, have the light bulb go off," like it did for me when I was 16 years old or 17 years old trying to, like, find myself, so
I love that, yeah, because out of all I mean, a majority of artists that I've spoke to all have a story with, the moment that my video went viral is when I did it. I was in my hotel room and I just turned the camera on and played this one song, or,
yeah.
but then they had spent, 6 months prior trying to make everything look exactly how they feel like people will perceive it in a way. It's like once you stop trying and just be like totally authentic, that's when people, will gravitate toward it and latch onto it. It's such
Right,
a
I can
weird
also
thing.
feel that, and, like,
Yeah.
I I don't like pushing this, like, creativity. It's like I only do it when it feels kind of organic and right. I just actually did a writing camp, last weekend, and it was kind of just centered around, like, let's create music, and I took a few days off work, and I had a few producers come out, and I there were moments where I was like, "Ooh, I don't feel inspired right now." So I'd like go for a walk, or I'd read a book, or I'd do, things to like kind of like spark my mind. But for me, yeah, it's not like let's like try to take all the creativity out of me right now and put it on a piece of paper. I'm like, "Oh, I can't do that." So
Yeah.
it was a good learning lesson, but we did make a lot of great stuff too. So
That's awesome. You were doing, stuff in the sync world, I believe, also last time we talked.
yes.
Are you still
Yes.
doing that or no?
Yeah, so in my little, like, quest to figure out what I wanna do in the music industry, I kind of figured out that it is less about the music business for me and more about the intersection between music and film.
Mhm.
And I think that's part of the reason why I'd started this music blog was this kind of interest in kind of shining a light on other artists and also like trying to have their music heard. But a lot of that came from my interest as a kid watching TV and film and seeing these like moments where a song comes on and it like stays with you. And so I got really into music supervision and I've been doing that freelance supervising, and then I'm also working in music licensing, and it's really, really cool. I think it like, you know, kind of hones into like my creativity, but also like the kind of entrepreneurial business side I have. And yeah, it's great. It's a really awesome industry, and I think it's also so important for musicians.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's like shows like Grey's Anatomy, like, broke bands, like,
Yeah,
just
no,
based off of,
exactly.
like, their soundtrack, you know what I
It's
mean?
insane. And also just meeting those people that have, like, completely, like, changed the industry. I mean, those needle drops are, like, make or break for the business
Mhm.
and make or break for people's careers and also just, like, creating moments, and then on top of it, they're also creating these huge viral moments, like bringing back an artist's career from the '90s, and
Right, right.
I'm like, "This is insane," and, like, obviously half of the world is like, "What is this?" Like, all these, like, 15-year-old kids are listening to Kate Bush, you
I
know,
was
and
just
it's
gonna
like
say Kate Bush or, like, what's nuts is I have an 8-year-old son, and he
mhm.
watches that Skibbity toilet thing on YouTube, and his
Yeah.
which is, like, it's the most ridiculous thing ever, but it's got so many views, and but anyway, like, his favorite band legit is Tears for Fears
That's
because,
insane.
because of it, because they, you know, just the music they always use, they're using all these, like, cool bands from the '80s, like, New Order or, stuff like that, and so he's, like, so about Tears for Fears, and
He's
it's
like this 8-year-old new wave, like, '80s kid, like
seriously, and so, like, then I'll play in bands, I'm like, "Oh, what do you think about this?" And I'll play him, like, Joy Division or something, and he'll like the song, "Oh, this is cool," you know, and then we'll, like, put it on his play but he has no idea what I'm doing, he just knows that I'm
yeah.
like, "Oh, I think maybe you'll like this," but it's just based off that genre that he's listening
That's
to, but
really cool. Like, that's part of, like, the thing for me, and I think, like yeah, I mean, it's just so incredible, and, like, just on top of it, I was at the Guild of Music Supervisors Awards this past
Mhm,
year, and they had my, like, biggest musical inspiration, Mark Ronson, like,
uh-huh.
presenting an award and talking about how
Whoa.
insanely important the business has been for his career, and same with Billie Eilish, and I'm like, "This is it." Like, these usages were kind of a big, big piece of these, like, the top of the top, you know, and, like, just seeing that and, like, it's so cool, and just the process and, you know, it really at the end of the day is only, like, 20% creative, but it's so important. It's so important.
Yeah, I do
So
remember you talking about, like, loving to discover music, like, growing up and, like, with SoundCloud. I think you Doja Cat was an example you gave,
oh
like,
my
somebody
god,
that you,
yeah.
like, listened to when you were in high school, and then it, like,
Yeah,
became you
no, I
know,
mean, like,
she's was, like,
it's
obviously
insane.
massive now.
But, like, all those a lot of those artists were like even, like, Kate Renata, like, you know, it Flume, like, these people were, like,
Mhm.
just posting demos on SoundCloud, and, like, it was clearly hitting the random, like, 16-year-old kid on her school bus ride from Bel Air to wherever, AKA me.
Yeah, yeah.
And, like, yeah, it's
AKA
so
me.
crazy, so crazy. I, like, went back just out of curiosity to see, like, what my first ever like was, and it was this song by Chrome Sparks, and he's, like, producing for a bunch of people now, and, like, it's just so cool to see just, like, how these people's careers have changed over time.
Yeah, that's what, probably told you this last time, but that's what drew me I was on the radio for a long time, like, in San Diego and, San Francisco, and that's
Yeah.
what drew it to me. It was, like, meeting people that have, like, played this band for the first time, and then it became, like, you know and I had a moment like that with that band, The Struts. I got to play their song for the first time, I just kept playing it on my show, and then, that Could Have Been Me song became huge, and Halsey covered it in like like Sing 2, and then, like, it was just, like, cool to be part of this moment with this band that, you know, ended up getting big, but it's so few and far between because there's so many artists that you'll play once and think that they're gonna do something, and then it just never happens, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that it definitely is just shows me, like, kind of also just stepping outside of, like, me as an artist and kind of really looking at it from a creative perspective of, like, what would work in this moment, and also kind of, like, the biggest thing is, like, working with a director and, like, trying to, like, bring their vision to life too.
Yeah.
Um, so, yeah, it's really cool and it's really important, and I think a lot of artists are kind of realizing outside of the one hit viral video, like, that getting the usage is the thing that can actually bring them on the back end, the royalties, and then on the kind of front facing end, like the fans and
The
the
tickets.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, I mean, it's been really cool. And I think like, the biggest thing for me is just the fact that it's like been such a passion for me and like realizing that it's a real job.
Yeah, you
Um,
get to be a tastemaker, right? You could just
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. And that's
you know,
kind of
I
always been my thing. And I think with my music, like I I make what I think sounds cool and what I would listen to and like kind of talk about the important lessons and things that I'm figuring out, as a 24-year-old girl and also just like being a storyteller. Some of the
mhm.
stories are come from somewhere in here and like this could be such a cool movie or like let's
Yeah.
write it into a song. Like why not? But it all comes from this kind of visual standpoint of like yeah, I can kind of, like, visualize it as if I'm, like, watching a movie, and I that's kind of where I realized the supervision stuff makes sense for me is, like, even my songwriting comes from this, like, visual storytelling, aspect too, so,
Love it.
yeah.
So, obviously, Blue Eyes was the song that you had at the time, and you've put out 1, 2, 3, like 4 other additional ones. So you put out California Dreams, Freaking Out, Ruin My Day, and Arms of Another. So kind of tell me, because basically when we left off, the conversation was Blue Eyes was about to come out. So
Yes.
I know that you had songs that you had written during COVID. You said you had about an EP worth of songs, and you were excited about
Mhm.
putting out the new music. Uh, did that all kind of go as planned, or did everything shift? And are these totally brand new songs, or
Yeah.
like, yeah, I guess kind of pick up where we left off in a way.
So, I think a big lesson I've learned between now and when we spoke is that things can kind of come out of left field, things you don't expect to happen, and you kinda just have to, like, show up and deal with them, and for me, I was like I think I released the song in January 2021, and then I released California Dreams in March, and then I was thrown into like, "Okay, I'm graduating in 3 months, so I need to figure out my school stuff and get it done, and then I can keep releasing music." My goal was just to, like, literally just keep releasing and keep doing it, and I think yeah, basically, long story short, I'm this extremely, like I've dealt with anxiety and OCD, like, my whole life, and I've talked about it a lot in kind of, like, press interviews, and I think a lot of it kind of you can hear it in the lyrics in my music and talk about it on social media, but like right after graduating from college, I basically found this bump above my collarbone and was like, that's not supposed to be there. So I went to the doctor and I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. And
Oh my gosh.
yeah, it's so insane to even say out loud. And I went through I had chemotherapy and I went through the whole thing and yeah, I mean like every part of me like I basically kind of like had to really like look inward and like this, very like grew up in LA, had a very kind of like, you know, I guess you could say like the life that you expect, like, the kind of person you don't expect this to happen to. And so I kind of accredit my totally being overly OCD and anxious to figuring this out and being like, okay, cool. Like you can love those things about yourself. And yeah, I mean, I've learned a lot and during that whole process, I, was accepted into Stargate's, online school, like, completely randomly, I forgot I'd applied to it, and, like,
Oh
right when
wow.
I started treatments, I was accepted to that program, so I was making music and writing with people all over the world every other week, So I kept doing the music through everything. But I think for me as an artist, I kind of like my perspective really changed on like, what's the goal here? What kind of messages do you want to be saying? And, also just like, how can I make an impact? That's kind of like my big thing. And I think, yeah, the music has shifted a lot, and I think that's because it's kind of gone in the direction of, like, where I really am passionate, and also my work too. I mean, I spent that period of time too, like, watching a lot of TV and, like, doing a lot of research on sync and, also, like, in these online sessions with people all over the world and like them talking about the importance of sync for their careers. And so it kind of was this big moment of really looking in the mirror. And I think I'm definitely like still the same person I was before, but now I kind of have this like extra layer of like, you know, backbone and strength and bravery and resilience that like now I kind of bring into my art. Um and yeah,
Oh my
I've
god.
been healthy for 2 years,
Oh, wow. Okay, I was gonna
and
ask. That's amazing.
yeah.
Congratulations.
But yeah, it's this kind of like totally crazy, unexpected thing, and so I kind of came back with the song "Freaking Out," and that was the song that I was like, "This is not only is like the title super ironic because
Right.
I'm a freaker outer,
Well,
but
everyone would understand that, especially with that news, right? I mean,
yeah, yeah, exactly. But I think for me, like the song itself is just kind of very it kind of has to just do with like community, and a lot of my music has to do with like community and not letting people, I mean, ruin my day is very kind of self-explanatory. It's like not letting the little things get to you and not letting those people, the meaningless chatter get in your way. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot kind of more, I guess, strength and valor in my music now, and I think that's kind of why I went rock. Not only is it like my like thing, but I think that like it also kind of has the sonic kind of theme to it and meaning because of me. So yeah, I did have this like hiatus, but it kind of wasn't, it was one of those things where life was like, okay, time to shift our
right.
focus.
Yeah, it wasn't like, "Oh, I decided to go do this for a bit."
Yeah.
It's like, you literally got, dealt this hand that you couldn't, not deal with.
Right. And I think for me, like, I was 22 years old, like, I had a job lined up, like, I was literally about to go, like, I actually did start working full time, like, I had a job, like, literally a job offer right out of college, and yeah, I mean, sometimes that happens and you just gotta, like, show up, and I think for me, like, I was lucky enough to be able to, like, use art as an outlet, and really kind of focus that time on, like, what is important to you and, like, what matters to you and how can you make that happen, and, like, literally within 4 months of, like, finishing treatments, I was, like, already back at work, and, like,
Damn.
so it's, like, it's so crazy, but yeah, and I some other, like, kind of exciting news is about, I wanna say, like, right around the time when I, like, really kind of started finding my sound in September, October, I reconnected with a few friends of mine that have a production company, and they were like, "Caroline, like, you should, consider doing a podcast." And I thought that was kind of funny because I've never been behind the camera. I've never been in front of the camera. That's never been my thing. And like, as someone interested in film and being in post and like the music side, and also as an artist, like, it was just never a thought. And so I've been doing that, and I have this amazing, really great kind of podcast that I've been working on that is really just kind of focused on sharing my story, and so that's coming as well.
Oh, wow. So you've been working on, but you haven't released it yet.
No, no, we've just been working on it, but it's been really very much out of my comfort zone, and something that again, like, never thought I'd do, but then, I could tell my 18-year-old self that you're making music, and that person would be like, "What?" So, yeah, it's really exciting, and I think, it's being dealt really crazy cards and at such a young age, like, I think I was kind of given this opportunity to kind of, like, come back stronger and come back kind of more confident in myself and kinda start to see, like, the importance of little things and, less of this kind of fast-paced, superficial, materialistic city that I've known my whole life.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Okay, so you obviously you get this news and that puts everything on hold for quite some time.
yes.
When do you like are the like for example, Freaking Out, was that a song that you had was that an older song is everything that's coming out now uh written like kind of post all of the treatment and all of that?
Yeah, so actually, Freaking Out was written before. That
Okay.
was a song that I did right around the time I did, California Dreams. I think that was gonna be the next single. And so I just was like I was honestly, like, not even gonna put Freaking Out because I had this kind of, like, new like, I had really kind of focused in on, like, what sounds important to you, and less about, like, production style, and more, like, lyrically and just kind of, like, also finding my voice as a songwriter and as a singer, and I think, like, even just, like, looking back, like, I do think, like, my vocals have gotten stronger and just kind of, like, these things as an artist that I think the time and the energy and the hours spent, like, you can kind of hear it.
Mhm.
And I was like, this song, it has resonated with friends of mine and family, and I think that, like, for me, I was like, "Okay, this is something that I should put out and share with the world," and, so yeah, it did kind of come from the before, but I think the message, I found in it after was actually different than the song that I had initially written, which is actually really funny too.
That's interesting. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's I mean, obviously the song holds up and it's like, well, this actually I can even relate to this in a different way, more so now, after
Right.
what we just went through.
Yeah. I mean, that's the coolest part of, like, you know, music is the fact if people actually, again, like, listen to the lyrics, which, like, I really think people should do, you can find so many different meanings in it, and it's the same thing as, like, going into an art gallery and looking at paintings. It's like the artist has their idea of what they want people to see, but they don't have it plastered up next to the art like
Right.
Jackson
This is
Pollock.
about this.
Yeah, they're not like, "This is a tree and a cat and a whatever," and you're like, "This
Uh,
is abstract, like, I'm gonna make whatever decision I want," and I think that's also why I have kind of multifaceted, like, themes in my music is because I want people to have their own way of resonating with it,
I love that. I love that you brought up Paula because I have 2 of his, prints over here.
No way.
Yeah.
That's
He's like
so
my
funny.
favorite. Yeah, him and Shepard Fairey, are like, my favorite artists, but
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm big, big, big on art. I have, like, an Andy Warhol in here, and it's not real. Um, and Mark Ryden, who's also one of my favorite artists, and he did one of Tyler, the Creator's covers, which is really cool, but he has some really cool surrealist art.
Oh,
Um,
let me look him up because I might know the name sounds familiar. What is it? Tyler
Mark
Oh,
Ryden, his stuff's weird though. And yeah, my mom,
oh, rad. I know who this is.
it's
I
slightly
know this art.
unsettling.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
people come
exactly.
in and they're like, "What is that?" I'm like, "You know what? I like it, so whatever."
No, I love that. That's rad. That's
Yeah,
really
his stuff's
rad.
so cool.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Awesome. I love finding out about new like artists like that. Like I just like that energy.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as, like, I literally had white walls for a while, and I was like because I don't know, I feel like when you walk into a room, like, the art has such an energy, and you need to, like, really, like, curate it.
Mhm.
Um, and so now I have art on every wall, basically.
So do I. I have to like I said, I'll have to sit down and like map it out. Okay, I have all this part pieces. Okay, how is this gonna look? I'll draw it. You know what I mean? Like I'm
Yeah,
just
no,
like
I mean,
so anal about it.
it takes time for
And,
sure,
yeah,
100%.
I spent like 3 weeks like just figuring out the artwork in this. place. So
It's hard because you have to be in the room all the time and you're like, well, I have to stare at this like every
yeah,
day. So it better
right.
like be
It better
cool.
look good. Yeah.
I'm like,
Or if it's
all,
oh, if it's crooked, oh
yeah,
man,
that's not
it'll
it.
drive me nuts.
But people that have like stock pictures of like zebras and like whatever, I'm like, all power to you. But for me, like I need to like feel something when I'm in a room full of art. So
That's
cheers to those
funny.
people though, because I wish
Right.
that it was that easy for me, but it's
Yeah,
just
just hang up anything. Like, yeah, it doesn't matter. This
yeah,
looks kind of cool.
so
Uh,
not that easy.
funny.
Um,
Well,
yeah,
oh yeah, Arms of Another is the new one. Tell me about that song and what do you have coming up?
yeah. So, that one, I mean, I think that's the one that like to date that I'm like really like the most proud of. And yeah, the message behind it, it was so cool working with my friend on the cover. She's so talented and it really felt like one of those songs that just we kind of got in the studio and like we had no idea where it was going. I kind of like knew that song is really, really important to me because it really has to do with like connection and friends and family and like all the things that like I've realized like if you really strip everything back, the cool art on your walls and the clothes and the you know, everything. Like friends and family are the most important. And for me, like when I was going through my treatments and my illness and all these things, like family and friends were like the core and the things that like really like meant the most to me. Second was art, obviously, like the music
Yeah.
and the
But he
film
was
and
gonna
the
be there for
TV.
you, yeah, emotionally,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah. And that's all at the end of the day, like that's like me and myself and like kind of learning to be my own best friend. But yeah, so that song really kind of has to do with that. And I think that kind of was like the hope for me is like people kind of like resonating with that. Obviously the hook is really catchy and it's a fun song and it has kind of mystery to it.
Mhm.
Um but yeah, so that obviously just came out and it's been really exciting and people have liked it and I think like since I've been releasing music again, I've gotten like a couple messages here and there, and that's kind of like the reason I'm doing it. Like people from like opposite ends of the earth being like, I really like this song. Like that's like why I'm doing it, you know?
Mhm.
So it feels really good to know that like it's resonating and it's hitting people the way that I was hoping it would. And we have a lot of great music coming out. I think like, yeah, I mean, I have been just even if I don't know like what I have in mind before I get in this in a session, we kind of get in there and it just like happens. And I think that is kind of like the beauty of like really trying to really finding my sound and my footing as a songwriter and an artist. So yeah, I mean, I have some music lined up. I think the next single hopefully will be out in October.
Awesome.
But yeah, consistency is the goal right now and like really kind of trying to share and put myself out there and hope that people resonate with it.
That's cool. I love it.
Yeah,
I have one more question. I asked you the same exact one last time, but maybe your answer will change in the 3 years. If you
let's
have any
see.
advice for aspiring artists?
Um, this is a good question. I wonder if it's the same answer or not.
I
'Cause I
remember what
don't
your
remember.
answer was because I watched it, but I'm
Okay,
not gonna
okay.
tell you. If you
Okay, yeah,
give the
don't
same
tell me.
answer or not, I'm not gonna tell
I
you.
think honestly, I think, do it for yourself. Don't do it for anyone else. And that's kind of, a little far-fetched because there's always this idea of like you're going to be making a song and you kind of want it to hit certain corners or you want to push it a certain way and there's all these trends and there's just for me like that's all noise. And at the end of the day, like it will reach the places it's meant to. Obviously, you have to put the work in, and these days you can't just like release a record and hope people will find it or like put it on the right person's desk. It really does require that work. But I think if it comes from you for you, it'll, go where it's meant to go.
Bringing it backwards.